Well, welcome everybody to Viterbi Live. This is the Viterbi Live chat. I apologize that we are running just a few minutes late, but I promise that we will still get through as much as we possibly can for a full hour. My name is Paul Ledesma, Director of Undergraduate Admission here for the Viterbi School of Engineering. We were just running around. It's been a crazy day, but we wanted to make sure that we all got on camera and got to answer a lot of your questions, as I know a number of you are trying to wrap up your college admission process and finish up those applications. I'm joined by a number of my colleagues. I'll let them introduce themselves as we kind of get our questions organized here. So Matt, why don't you start us off with who you are and what you do here?
Hi everyone, my name is Matthew O'Prey. I'm the Associate Dean for Admission with the Viterbi School.
Hi, I'm Christine Shea. I'm the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the Viterbi School.
And hi, I'm Becky. I'm the Senior Assistant Director for Admission at the Viterbi School.
Okay, so once again, for those of you that are just joining us, if you're at Viterbi admission.usc.edu/live, you'll notice that we have a form at the bottom of this page where you can submit questions. A number of you have already submitted. Actually, we have, oh wow, almost 200 questions already submitted. We're definitely not going to answer 200 questions, but a number of them tend to repeat themselves. There's a good amount of information across all of them, so we'll make sure and cut to them. I think first and foremost, I think what might be good is for me to give you just a brief overview on the school and our academic programs, and then we'll jump into some of these more specific questions. What everyone should know is that the Viterbi School of Engineering at USC is a very broad program with lots of different academic opportunities. We offer pretty much anything under the sun that you might want to study in engineering: aerospace engineering, astronautical engineering, biomedical engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, environmental engineering, industrial and systems engineering, and mechanical engineering. A broad spectrum, about 10 different disciplines of engineering that we offer in the engineering school, plus when you look at our degree programs, our bachelor's degrees, a little over 30 undergraduate majors. So we have a broad spectrum of academic programs offering anything you might want to study when it comes to engineering. Our programs start day one. We want you to start in engineering immediately when you get here so you can learn more about it. So you're going to each take introductions to the specific discipline of your choosing when you start here at USC. It's a 4-year program. We expect that all of our students will graduate in 4 years, and we've designed our curriculum as such so that you can get through a complex idea of breadth and depth in your major. We want you to really have a good understanding of your program, but also not be limited to the ideas of engineering. So a broad general education curriculum in liberal arts, humanities, and social sciences, and plus the ability to do more stuff. We want you to not just study engineering, but we want you to do more with what we call Engineering Plus, studying engineering plus other ideas outside of the realm of engineering. So whether that's a passion that you have like music or theater, or there's something you'd like to complement your engineering degree with a little more technically, like business skills or entrepreneurship, or even anything else you could possibly imagine, we want you to be able to study those things at USC. And with over 150 majors and over 150 minors at the university-wide, engineering students can do quite literally any of those options. It's going to be a fantastic resource for you to really take advantage of all corners of this campus as an engineering student. And that's one of the things that we want to really stress, is that our engineering students are not just sequestered in an engineering dorm. We don't have an engineering dorm. We don't have just engineering students living together. They're not just in one part of campus. They're all across this campus and really taking advantage of all the different things. We know that you want to do more than just engineering. That's why we offer Engineering Plus. As far as the application process is concerned, and a number of our questions are related to the application, when you apply to USC, we are a common app school, and applying to the engineering school is no different than applying to USC as a whole. You just need to complete the Common App plus the USC Writing Supplement, and on that Writing Supplement, the first choice major, if you are thinking at all about engineering, must be one of the engineering majors. So you must list one of the engineering majors as your first choice major on the USC's Writing Supplement for the Common App. That could be any one of our 30-plus programs in engineering, and if you're not exactly sure which type of engineering you want to study, then we have a perfect option for you called undeclared engineering. And so if you're not sure about engineering or not sure which one you want to do, undeclared engineering is a perfect opportunity to get involved in engineering, get an understanding of what it's about, and find the right major and still be on track to graduate in 4 years. Did I miss anything, folks? Anything else that you think you want to add on to that?
Sounds great.
Just a big fat thumbs up. There you go. Good job. All right. So, like I said, well, we've had more questions since people are popping in here, and already got a lot of people watching. I think the first thing that we want to talk about is going to be Oh man, what are we talking about here? Okay, we got a lot of questions on letters of rec. So let's get into the application process specifically. Letters of recommendation. Matthew writes this question, but also Vikram writes this question, and Rachel writes this question, and Shannon writes this question. It's what is our policy on letters of rec? Some of the questions are, where do we send them? Who should we have write them? How many should I have? I have so many people that think I'm awesome, and I want them all to tell you how awesome I am. So can someone give a brief overview on letters of rec for these great questions?
Sure. The short version is you send them through the Common App. So there's that section in the Common application where you identify recommenders and input an email address for them. You can just do it there. You don't need to do anything else different or extra. The university application, we require one application or one letter of recommendation. You're welcome to submit more than that. I don't recommend more than 2 or 3 or 4 on the outside because there's not a whole lot of value added after the third recommendation. As Paul said, they all think you're awesome, and they think you're awesome for similar reasons. So
it's hard to hear how great someone is more than 3 times, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other thing, to jump off of what Matt was saying, letters of rec don't, I hear this from a lot of students, don't have to come from a math teacher or a science teacher. Just what Matt was saying, someone who knows you is fine. I mean, we're going to get the other pieces of information from the application as well. So just anyone else who has more information that they want to supply about you is fine.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that answers those questions. Again, there's a number of you that asked that. Now, another one that I'm seeing pop up on our question list here, the thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again is, what if I'm not sure about engineering? And also, how easy is it to change my major if I've already started in something like, let's say, computer science or computer science business? So, for example, Karthik asked this question, Anand asked this question. How easy or hard is it to switch majors in Viterbi? But then also, what if you want to, you're done with engineering, you don't want to actually be in engineering anymore? How easy is it to switch into something else?
We don't talk like that, Paul.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading the questions here.
I think for the students who aren't sure if engineering is what they want to do, if you're thinking that engineering is a possibility for you, you're probably an engineer, because if you weren't an engineer, it would never have crossed your mind to even look into it. Students who are admitted to the School of Engineering are admitted to all the majors within the School of Engineering. So if you apply for computer science and later on decide you want to be a biomedical engineer or an electrical engineer, you are more than welcome to change your major. It is very easy to do so, and so you're never tied down to one major or the major you're admitted to. You have a lot of flexibility with changing your mind and trying to figure out what type of engineering is the right one for you. We're never going to hold you to a specific type of engineering.
Well, they do have to pick one to graduate.
Eventually, yes.
Well, that's if they want a degree. I mean, if they don't want a degree, I think they can stay in classes here for as long as they want. We'll gladly accept tuition checks from them for as long as they're here.
No, the key thing is when we admit a student into any of the engineering majors, they're admitted to all of them. And you can change your major anytime you want, as often as you want. But you do need to pick one to actually finish it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and being interested in engineering is truly enough. You don't need to know. I've really gone beyond that. I think a lot of students are sometimes tell us, like, "Oh, we're not sure. What if I'm not computer science? What if it's computer science business?" Remember, we do let you switch majors, but even just being interested, as Becky just said, just being interested is enough at this point, and we'll iron out the details when you're here.
Now, there's a lot of questions that are asking different things, but they're all rallying around the same concept of majors and the application process and changing it. So, for example, Sienna just jumped in here and asked, is one engineering major harder to get into than the other? And so, Matt, I mean, you talked about this for a second about being admitted to all, but can you explain, help people understand that arena from that particular concern?
Yeah, we actually go to some pretty significant lengths in how we structure our review process and recommendations university-wide, so that you're not changing your chances of getting in just because you're thinking about engineering. I understand where that question comes from. There are a lot of engineering programs out there that you're probably applying to that do in fact have a completely separate application process or different chances of getting in if a major is impacted or something like that. The dynamic there is when there's a hard cap on the number of student or spots available for a particular major, then yes, an individual chance of getting in is going to change wildly if that major has a lot of spots open or doesn't have a lot of spots open, or if that major is more popular in a given year or than another. But we don't do our application review that way at USC at all. So we don't have a hard cap on any one of the engineering majors or even engineering as a whole. We have a loose target that is part of the university admission process, but we don't have a hard cap, and so we're able to accommodate those normal ebbs and flows. And so the chances of getting in a particular engineering major or to engineering versus something not engineering are all basically the same.
Okay. And then related to this question is there's a few other questions. I'm trying to distill a lot of different questions down to one. But then there are other students asking, well, is it easier to get in if I put down biology and then maybe I want to switch into biomedical engineering later? Or how easy is it to change my major from something like physics into engineering? How should we be addressing these students as they're going through the application process if they're thinking at all about engineering?
Do you want me to answer that?
I think someone should, other than me, because I'm busy reading the questions. I got to figure out what we got to talk about next. So I'd love to, but I think someone else should.
So if a student is admitted to a different major at the university and they want to change into engineering, it's a pretty straightforward process, but it is a process that you would have to go through. So we have this pre-engineering process where basically our primary concern at that point is simply how well are you going to do into classes? And the way we find out is we put you into classes. So to change into engineering from a non-engineering major, you basically have to take a semester worth of engineering courses and get B's or better. We're looking for B's in all the major and major-related courses, and then a 3.0 overall in that particular term. So it can be pretty straightforward. It's not like again, I know where this question comes from. There are some engineering programs where it's very difficult to move into engineering like that, but that is an extra hurdle. And my blanket recommendation is this is a highly selective process, and admission to USC is highly selective. You will increase your chances of getting into USC if you're applying to majors that you're truly interested in, that has that sort of coherence to your application. And so my recommendation is if you're thinking about engineering, odds are that's because you're good at math and science and you have some interest in engineering. And that's going to make a stronger application overall than if you try to guess a different kind of major. And remember, you're not getting locked in. And so for most students, the sort of strategic advice here would be apply to an engineering major that sounds interesting to you, because that's probably going to be the best match in the application process.
And then I would just add that the engineering programs at USC, they're 4-year programs, but they're full 4 years. And so if you're thinking about engineering, you probably want to start in engineering so that you don't get behind. If you start in another program, you're not starting in those engineering courses. You're not starting to take that 4-year curriculum right away. And so you want to start in engineering so that you can graduate in 4 years if that's a goal of yours, because you want to start getting into the engineering curriculum right away. And then after a semester of mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or whatever you think you're interested in, after a full 16 weeks in that discipline, you're going to know whether it's the right major for you. If you start in something else, you're still going to have this doubt of whether engineering is what you want to do or not. So sometimes it's better to start in engineering so you can make those decisions right away and be on track to graduate on time.
And certainly, if you are an engineering student and then for whatever reason decide to leave us at all, it is actually easier to leave us in some sense if you're going to the College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. Once you're admitted to the engineering school, you're also admitted to every single major in the College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. So the process that Matt was outlining in terms of trying to change your major for a professional school, that doesn't apply to physics, math, etc. You can easily leave us, but please don't. But you could.
At the end of the day, the stat there is 8%. just over 8% of the students who start in engineering at USC finish USC on time, 4 years, but in a non-engineering major. So about 8% have chosen that or decided that engineering isn't their thing.
Well, I just heard a horn. I think that means that we're going to go to lightning round. No. That's right, that threw me for a second. Also, we're going to stick on the application process here. I love all the questions coming in. There's a lot about the experiences at USC, which we'll get to, but since there's so many on the application, I want to stick with that for now. There are a lot of questions about SAT or ACT scores. For example, Mama Dow asked, what ACT scores do I need to get in order to be admitted? And other people are asking, do we super score SAT scores? Bottom line, when it comes to, or the other one was asking, what's the minimum math score I need to get admitted? What I want everyone to understand about test scores is that it is one element in your application. Your application is made up of hundreds of things. There are short answer responses, long text essay responses. You have your entire transcript of 4 years of academics and how you've done in those academics and different levels of rigor. You have your council report. You have everything that makes up who you are, your activities, your listing, and a test score is just one little piece of data. And what we're trying to do is basically give you the benefit of the doubt as much as we can. So if you've taken the SAT a number of times, yes, it's going to be your highest combined score, what you might refer to as a super score. With the ACT, we cannot super score, so it'll be your highest composite score that you have. We do need the ACT plus writing for this year of admission. And if you take them both, well, we're going to do whatever looks like it's a higher score based on concordance tables. So really, whatever you did better on. Now, in that situation, there are no minimums, just like there's no minimums for GPA either, and there aren't any minimums necessarily with math scores in particular. More specifically, we want to see that you're prepared for our curriculum in engineering. How we determine whether you're prepared for a curriculum is, have you been doing well throughout high school, number one, and number two, have you been engaged in a high level of rigor, or have you been increasing that level of rigor as you've gone through high school, and also responding and doing well to that rigor. So 4 years of math and science, doing well. We need to see at least a year of calculus before you graduate high school, because we want to see how you did in calculus, and more specifically, if that's your first time taking calculus, then that senior year fall grades are going to be very important to us in our admission decision. The SAT, ACT scores, those are going to be elements that we're going to look to see whether it complements or works well with that. But you know, is a 34 better than a 33 on the ACT? Kind of, yeah, I guess, but should we admit more of those than we should admit 33s? And I think the answer is, well, we need to understand more about that student to find out what they're interested in and how they can contribute to our student body. And how you did on one Saturday afternoon, I don't think necessarily says everything about you. So we want to understand everything we possibly can about you academically so that we can make predictions as to how well you're going to do here. This is trying to understand how well you can do in our program. One thing that I'm confident that is not on the ACT or the SAT is calculus. And the SAT and the calculus is going to be an important part of our admission decision. And so having that experience in calculus is far more important than any score you can possibly get on any exam. Anybody else want to jump in on that before I move on to something else?
Nope, sounds good.
Cool, good. I got one question saying, what's the deadline of Viterbi? I'm assuming that and he said, I can't get that from official website. So, Lee Kang, I think you're not on the right website then, because I think our deadline's everywhere. The application is December 1st if you'd like to be considered for merit-based scholarships. It is going to be, you need to submit the Common App plus the USC writing supplement by December 1st. Our final deadline is January 15th. However, I think we all recommend that everybody should throw their hat in the ring for competitive merit-based scholarships. One of the other questions that this links into is, hey, how do I get a scholarship? And also, related to that, other questions that I'm getting, like Nikki asked this question, a few others, Jacob asked this question as well. What are we looking for? What are this? Jacob asked specifically. What skills and character traits? Jacob asked, what skills and character traits are Viterbi admission counselors looking for in applicants applying to the engineering program? And I always say, at least someone that has to be 5'9", and
Not a lot of people.
at minimum, they have to have a size 9 shoe. But other than that, what else are we looking for?
Well, I
think
think
or otherwise that's going to be the official answer. We got to figure out.
I think what's tough about this is that there isn't necessarily just one type of student that we're looking for. I mean, overall, we want students who are engaged in school, overall doing well, but that means a lot of different things depending on what you're doing at your school and things that you're involved in. I don't know, you guys want to jump in here, but it doesn't look like just one type of thing. We certainly like to see exposure to calculus. Paul already alluded to that, but we have lots of different students here who are doing different things. I know Matt, Becky, you want to jump in?
I was saying it's a loaded question with no answer.
Yeah, great way to put it.
No, I would point out that engineering at the end of the day is applied creative problem solving, right? I mean, if you're going to be successful in engineering, you need to have some of that math and science foundation, right? I mean, this is very rigorous. It's very analytical. You've got to like math, or at least be able to do it at a high level. You've got to understand scientific methodology and sort of embrace that cumulative way of experimenting and learning, and then you've got to be fundamentally creative. Engineering is creative problem solving, and so all of those different little subjective elements that make up who you are contribute to that want to solve problems, that drive to have an impact. To change society for the better, to solve problems, and that requires work ethic, it requires analytic ability, it requires creativity. So we're looking for all of those things.
Okay. Sorry, I'm digging through questions at the same time and moving on to our next thing here. Let's get into some more academic stuff while we can. There's actually a lot of students that have asked a very similar question relating to robotics. And I think this comes down to there's a lot of high school programs that are involved in robotics, FRC or VEX or anything else. And like, for example, Daniel asked this question, which I think is what everyone else is asking, but it's worded, I think, the best way. So Daniel, thank you for your question. Which of your engineering majors is best directed to robotics? In other words, I like robotics. What should I be majoring in?
Pick one. Robotics is interdisciplinary. Computer science, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, heck, if it's humanoid robotics, biomedical engineering, structures and materials, or materials out of chemical engineering, structures out of civil engineering or aerospace engineering. Robotics is fundamentally interdisciplinary. Most of the students who are sort of passionate about robotics, and a lot of the faculty who are leading robotics research teams here at the Viterbi School are coming out of electrical and computer science and mechanical, I would say, are the three most common. But it's fundamentally interdisciplinary.
Great. Yeah, I always tell students, like, what section of the robot are you working on right now? Which one do you like? Are you really into the programming of it? Then maybe you want to look into computer science. If you're really into the mechanics of it, then look into mechanical. But honestly, yeah, you're totally right. It involves so many different things. Let's talk a little bit about financial aid. There are a lot of questions here about financial aid. I want to first talk about need-based financial aid, and then we can talk about merit-based scholarships. Who can give us a brief overview on how the financial aid process works and how that is separate than the admission process and the application process that we've been describing so far?
Yeah, I mean, once your application is submitted, we recommend that you then work on completing the financial aid process. The financial aid process is a distinct and separate process from applying. Paul, Becky, Matt, and I, if we're looking at a file, we're not looking at financial aid files at the same time. We keep those processes different and separate, rather. But in terms of what you need to submit, you guys submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile, which might be a different one than you were expecting for other schools, but the CSS profile, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but tax information if it's requested by the financial aid office. Is that correct?
Yeah, you really need to have had your parents fill out their tax information before filling out the FAFSA. A lot of that information needs to be completed in order to complete the FAFSA. But USC will not. We don't require that you send all of the tax information in order to review. What they might very well ask for copies of it. Yeah.
And completing this process gets you in the running for need-based financial aid. So it's not merit-based, based on your grades or accomplishments, at school or outside of school. This is need-based, based on what the federal government and USD kind of figure out what your need is. And then there's merit-based scholarships. I don't know if someone wants to describe that.
Well, I would just really quickly, before we move on to merit-based scholarships, I'd put in a plug for reaching out directly to our financial aid office if you have questions about the financial aid application or that process in general. Their website, it's great. It's got tons of information on there, as well as ways of contacting directly to a financial aid expert. Because again, as we've mentioned, this is a need-blind admission process, and the financial aid and application processes are kept separate. And so none of us in Viterbi are real financial aid experts. So I would just toss in that plug as well.
Yeah, usc.edu/financial aid. They recently just reformatted their whole website. It's got a lot of great information on it. It helps you understand how the cost of education, or what may seem like a high price tag, is not necessarily what everybody pays, especially at a private institution that has a very generous financial aid budget. And there's also the net price calculator there, along with many other resources to help you understand how it might work for you. But ultimately, someone should not. Someone should definitely apply. They shouldn't hold themselves back from applying if they think they can't afford it, because if they think they can't afford it, then we definitely have a generous financial aid program. Merit scholarships, let's talk about that. That is a separate process than need-based financial aid. One thing I do want to note is that need-based financial aid is international students are not eligible for need-based financial aid, but international students are eligible for scholarships, just like the rest of our population and the rest of our applicant pool. Before we get into that, but someone should be ready to talk about scholarships in just a second. Related to international students, there is no different application. There is no different application deadline. There is no different tuition price for international students. It's all the same, and just students need to go through the regular application process. However, there is some additional information that you need to submit. So you can go to the USC admission website to understand what information is there as an international student, and the application prompts you for that as well. But can we talk a little bit about how merit scholarships work and what we offer, and also how competitive it is?
Sure. So merit-based scholarships are based on merit. So your grades, your activities, your involvement. To be considered for merit-based scholarships, you just need to submit your common application and the USC writing supplement by the December 1st deadline. Submitting it prior to December 1st does not give you a better chance of getting a scholarship. It just, whoever has an application in by December 1st will be considered for merit-based scholarships. It is a very competitive process at the incoming level for the incoming freshmen. And it is so that the merit-based scholarships for the December 1st deadline are the trustee, presidential, directors, and dean scholarships, which are full tuition, half tuition, quarter tuition, and then a couple $1,000s. There are some additional scholarships that the university offers that are not part of that automatic review process, and so you will want to go to the financial aid website to look at what scholarships are available. Some of them have some eligibility criteria, and so you can see which ones you're eligible to apply for. Those typically require a paragraph or an essay explaining that you're applying for this scholarship, and sometimes those essays are also due on December 1st or a little bit before, so you do want to go onto that website now to see if you're eligible to apply for any of those additional scholarships run through the financial aid office or run through USC. And then you will also want to look into scholarships from other venues, so an alumni association in your area, companies that give scholarships to students. You really want to do a lot of research into additional scholarships outside of the university that you could apply for. because, like I said, it is a very competitive process for the incoming students, and so, you know, a very small percentage of our students are actually offered merit-based scholarships at the incoming level. The School of Engineering does not really have any scholarships for incoming students separately from what the university offers, but we do have a lot for continuing students. So your sophomore, junior, and senior year, you could apply for additional scholarships. You can see what those scholarships are on our website, just to see what they are, how much they are, but there's a lot of industry partners and national organizations that we partner with to help students fund their education for their sophomores, juniors, and senior years as a student at Viterbi.
Cool. I missed a question earlier that was related to something we talked about. Cole Schroeder, thanks Cole for writing in. Are there any SAT subject tests or other special requirements in the application to Viterbi? No. There is nothing extra that you need to do, no extra tests. We don't ask for any subject tests. To be honest, we don't care about subject tests. So as long as you're doing what you need to do as far as the application is concerned, the SAT or the ACT with the writing component on the ACT, that's all you need to do. There's nothing extra. Also related to that, and also tied back into the comment, Becky, that you made, is that we have two deadlines, December 1st and January 15th. December 1st is if you submit your application by that deadline, then you will be in the consideration process for merit-based scholarships. And then January 15th is the actual drop deadline. That's the final deadline for admission to the university. USC does not practice early anything. We don't practice early admission, early action, nothing early. And so December 1st is not an early deadline. It's just to be considered for the merit-based scholarships because we need more time to read through those, and we put those students through, the ones that we do select as finalists, through a more rigorous process, at least another month of screening on hand. And submitting your application any earlier, meaning like if you got it in 2 weeks ago or if you get it in on December 1st, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't add any points. The only thing submitting your application early does is just increases the amount of time you have to wait for a decision. And so, because all of the decisions will go out at the same time. We will be selecting finalists for those merit scholarships typically by the end of January, early February. For those that we're not able to consider as finalists for the scholarships, we will let you know that you were not considered, but your application still will be considered for admission. And that doesn't change your chances of admission one bit, not at all. It's as if you applied just with everybody else. But that's why we always say there's no harm in submitting your application for December 1st. Even if you think you're not eligible for scholarships, you might as well just throw your hat in the ring. Don't count yourself out of a process. You know, there's too many things counting against you. You got to just try whatever you possibly can. So, anything else I missed on that, guys?
No.
Okay, cool. The average financial aid given to incoming freshmen and the factors that determine the amount, again, go back to the financial aid website. That extra information, there's some good information on there. Who was that? Axel, thank you for asking that question. Paul Rodriguez, man, I don't know what you wrote here, man, and I think you know what you wrote, but I don't know if that was really appropriate to write. But thanks for letting us know anyways. It was funny to me. I don't know if it was funny to anyone else. I'll tell you guys later what he wrote.
Yeah, like I can't see it.
No, I know. I'll tell you later. But let's write down. Let's make sure we write down his email address for the application review process. The other thing here is internships. We got lots of questions on internships. So. We got Helly, we got Chirag, we've got Michael, we got Marco. What opportunities for internships or co-ops are available for Viterbi students through the school year and the summers? Michael is a great way to phrase that question that summarizes a lot of different people's questions. So can we talk a little bit about our opportunities within Career Connections and how we help students with the internship process, the career planning process, and where our students go after graduation?
Who wants to start?
I'll start. So yes, the Viterbi School, we do have a Career Connections office to help our students through every step of the process, like Paul said. It is a full service, 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday office that will help you write your resume. They'll help you do mock interviews so you're prepared for those interviews. They work really closely with a lot of companies that recruit actively on campus. I don't even know the number because there are so many companies that come and meet with our students. The companies will come and do info sessions. They do interviews on campus, so you never even have to leave. You go to class, go to a job interview, go back to class. The office, so they do a lot of small events throughout the year, but then they have 3 very large events that they put on. The first one is usually at the end of September. It's called Career Conference. It's basically like a conference. There's a keynote speaker, there's workshops, there's resume writing workshops, just to help students get really prepared for the job search ahead, because usually the week after that is our first career fair, and these companies they have jobs and internships available, so they're hiring any freshmen through seniors for these jobs and internships. And at our career fair this year, we had 178 companies in attendance, so any company you can think of was probably there, and the ones that weren't there, it's not because they don't recruit students, it's just because they couldn't make it that Wednesday in October. And then there's also a career fair that takes place in the spring semester, helping students get internships for the summer. So there's a lot of opportunities to meet with companies, meet with recruiters, network, and just practice those interviewing skills through our office at all of the events that they put on.
And
Yeah.
now it's actually, oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, anecdotally, right now is really a fun time to be with our senior students because they've had internships, many of them, and they're coming into the fall semester already with job offers. And now the struggle, first semester senior year is like, am I going to take the job offer at SpaceX or PwC, something like that. It's really exciting to see our students who we met during the admission process now, where you guys are, and then see them move forward, and they're being very successful. A lot of them again nailed down internships in the summer, maybe sophomore, junior year summers, and then they're moving into their senior year, and they've got their job plans all nailed out already.
Yeah, great. I would add 2 things. One, most of what we just talked about is available at most engineering programs, if not all. I don't think that there's anything particularly unique to one top engineering program versus another top engineering program in terms of having career fairs and the companies that work with them. Most engineering companies, the names you recognize, the Microsofts, the Googles, the SpaceXs, all of the sort of large companies that hire a lot of students are going to recruit at most engineering programs. One of the differences here at USC is at most schools that all of those career activities that we just talked about, those are happening at the university level, at the University Career Planning and Placement Center. And USC, the Viterbi School, we're one of the few that, in fact, we're the only one I know of, but I'm sure there are others out there that have all of those career services duplicated and dedicated just for the engineering students. So when Becky talks about the fall career fair having 178 companies, that was the fall engineering career fair. That was different from the university career fair, which also happened. And so having those dedicated resources just for the engineering students and the companies looking to hire them, I think is a big deal. And then the other question I get a lot when internships and co-ops come up is it's also fairly common out there in engineering programs for an internship or a co-op to be a required element in the program. And we don't require students to do an internship or a co-op, but we will be beating you over the head from before classes even start to get engaged with that process. But there are some students who want to do engineering who are using this as a launching pad to careers in law or pre-medicine or other business careers where an engineering internship might not be part of their initial plan, or might not be the highest leverage thing for them to be doing. But so we don't require it, but we will be supporting you and encouraging you throughout that process to do internships. Most of our students do them during the summers. That seems to be the general preference. There's no rule about that. A lot of students do internships during the school year, and co-ops by definition are structured so that they're taking place during the school year, usually involving taking a semester off or something like that. We offer both. We work with companies that offer both. So there's a lot of space there to get involved. Remember, engineering is a professional degree program.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry, I just realized I got really comfortable in that last one. I'm probably slouching. I just looked at myself in the camera. I was just Matt's voice just gets me so comfortable.
Sound of Zen.
Very zen, very zen. There are another question that is kind of permeating our list. Now we're at multiple hundreds of questions here, so I know I'm not going to get to all of them, but I'm trying to, again, distill down the ones that are very similar. For example, Cole just asked this question: what opportunities are provided for research for incoming freshmen? By the way, Cole knocking it out of the park with great questions today. But Mala asked this question earlier in the week about the research opportunities for undergraduates. Who can talk a little bit more, or wants to start us off, I should say, about the research opportunities for undergraduates, you know, the volume, how early can someone do research as an undergraduate, and what research projects are there that they're doing?
Sure. I came to realize a couple years ago that most of our peer institutions, at least the research universities, offer some sort of opportunity for undergraduate students to get involved in the research labs in some way, maybe as part of the honors college or a special merit research program or something like that. So I don't think it's unique to USC that undergraduates work in research labs with faculty, but I do think the scale and the scope is just completely different. To give you a sense of that, the Viterbi School of Engineering faculty had about $190 million a year in externally funded research. That's a lot. And that turns into opportunities and labs and equipment and faculty and just a huge scope of opportunities there. And at USC, this is part of the culture. This is part of how we approach undergraduate education. And I think one of the big differences between how we approach this and a lot of other engineering programs is you want to do research and you want to work with faculty in a lab at USC, you go up to a faculty member and you ask, can I work in your lab? You don't need to be in a special program. You don't need to be admitted to the honors college or wait until your upper division years or have a certain GPA or something like that. You want to work in a lab, you start to develop those relationships with faculty and ask. We have a lot of students who start sometimes first semester freshman year, if that's something they're really passionate about. That's fine. I actually, when I'm in advisement mode, when I have that hat on, I actually want to talk individually with students about whether they should be starting research during that first semester or whether they want to focus on transitioning into engineering in college. Some students do better when they jump right in. Some students, it makes more sense to wait until later in their freshman year or sophomore year. I think that's probably the most common, but there aren't really rules and restrictions on this. So you want to work in a lab, you talk to faculty and you find a spot in the lab.
I think that was a great summary. The summary.
It's that Zen voice I've got, you know.
No, actually, but you know, in terms of, I want to reaffirm that yes, it is as simple as asking to get involved in research here. I've had students after you know, my presentations come up to me and be like, so I want to know about getting involved in research, and I basically said what Matt has said. I was like, no, that was it. You just go ask, and it's almost feels too simple, but it really is as simple as just asking a professor, shooting them a quick email, or setting up time to chat with them. If you want to look at some different research projects that are available, I always defer to what's going on the department websites. There's always good information about different research that's going on in those different labs. I'm trying to think of some cool things that have just come out recently. I know we had some first FDA approved way to cure certain types of blindness. So there are some really cool things that are going on. I'm trying to think about anything else that's been cool that you guys want to make a plug for. Matt,
well, I would put in a plug for viterbivoices.usc.edu in general. That's the website that a number of our students blog on and have videos, and a lot of those students in those blogs talk about some of the research they've done. I think that's a great place to start hunting around and getting a feel for really the answer to all parts of that question. You know, I mean, there are students there who started research right away. There are students who did it a little bit later, and you can get a good sense of how they got involved in research and what some of the things that they've been doing are.
Next up, here's a couple of quick, fast questions I'm going to answer as best I can. While we were answering questions, some people asked follow-up questions, so I'm going to jump onto that. When we were talking about merit-based scholarships, I think we listed out a number of them, but we didn't specifically say MORC. So when Annalise asked, well, what about the MORC scholarship? Yes, MORC scholarship, STAMP scholarship, anything that's one of the university scholarships, we're going to help to determine the people that are awarded that scholarship at USC. And that's full tuition and everything else in between. And the Vikram asks, how are we supposed to answer the quick takes? Fun, serious, or both?
Honestly?
Well, Vikram, are you fun, or are you serious, or are you both?
Well, should we tell everybody what the right answers to the quick takes are, or should we just let them guess?
Let them guess.
Yeah, let them guess. I mean, there's only one right answer for the best fictional character ever.
You're right. There is only one right answer for the best fictional character. There's also only one right answer for the best food, and there's only one right answer for the best musical performer. And hopefully they'll get that right.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
No, guys. Okay. So quick takes. Bottom line is you're thinking too hard about this already. Quick takes are quite literally exactly what they're called. Quick takes. You get asked that question, write down the answer, whatever you think. It's more for us to understand who you are. If you think too much about it, if you think that there is a right answer, there isn't. Just go with your gut. Let us know more about you. That's fine. It's not like if you put the Rolling Stones down as your best musical performer that you're not going to get admitted. That only happens to at least 10 people every year, so it's unlikely it's going to be you.
Because it's obviously the Beatles.
It's obviously the Beatles. Now let's see how many Beatles we
Yeah.
Oh, we are so going to have a discussion about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't have to make it formal in the response. I think some students sometimes make like full sentences. My favorite character is, like, if that was Vikram's question. Yeah, like, no, you can just write whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the character is.
Great. Got it. Moving on. Yeah, I don't need justification. Whatever you think is cool. So it's don't think too hard about this. Can I have test scores? Arin asks, can I have my test scores sent to USC before I submit the application? Yeah. I mean, remember, your application is not like it's it's not one thing that then ends up here at one time and there's no way to add to that. So if you've taken the SAT or the ACT and you listed USC as a school, we already have them. If you send them again, or if you haven't sent them, please do send them. Your test scores can arrive, your application can arrive, your letters of recommendation can arrive at different points, but we need to have the application by the deadline. Everything else needs to be there, shortly thereafter. In other words, once we start reading it, if we're missing something, then we can't make decisions on that. So you need to make sure you have everything there.
Paul, can I actually have you build
Please.
off of that about the
Yeah.
December SATs or ACTs? Because I think that was in the inbox quite a bit about, are those going to be in on time for scholarship review if you stop for December?
Like if you take the December test.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's after the December 1st deadline, but those test scores can come in after December 1st, but you want to get them sent as soon as possible because, like Paul said, if your application is not complete, we cannot make a decision on it. We can't move forward. If we get to your application before your new scores come in, but you have a prior test score in there, then we are probably just going to work off of that. So, like if we have a test score, then your application is complete, we can make a decision. If you're retaking it, you just want to get those scores in as soon as possible because we might make a decision before they come in. So you want to send them right away.
Yeah.
Your application file is essentially live. Things are, test scores are coming in, but we're also looking at it at different points. And so if we looked at it before something came in, that's all we can work off of.
We do publish that that the December test dates is the last test date that we can guarantee the score will get there. Will get here before we actually issue decisions.
For admission, but it might not be there for scholarship consideration.
Right.
So it depends on when we get it, because honestly, you can take the test, and if you decide not to send it to us till later, then we can't guarantee that we have it. So it all depends on when you send it. So this is a great question, Michael. I'm going to read this to you. Basically, he's asking if I'm a liar. So he says, well, Paul Ledesma mentioned that students with non-engineering related passions are free to continue cultivating their passions at USC. How feasible is this?
This is a core part of the culture here at USC. This is not USC latching on to the most recent buzzword, interdisciplinary, being able to do other things that's out there. This is a core part of what it means to be at USC from a student perspective, staff perspective, faculty perspective. This drive for interdisciplinary, Renaissance scholars, doing work in widely separated fields, engineering plus. This is how we operate, and it's been how we operate for darn near 30 years now. So, no, you're not a liar, Paul.
I heard what you said. But how feasible is that?
Yeah.
I think what's real is, and so for example, he you know, this guy, and it's a great question, Michael. I'm just giving you a hard time. Specifically, you know, how hard something is a very subjective kind of personal thing. You know, we have students that love taking minors, and they want to pursue minors, and they love it. And if you ask them, they'll say, no, it's great, it's easy, it works out great. You have other people that said, oh, a minor, I have to take more classes, that's too hard, I don't want to do that. And so if you ask that person how easy is it to minor, they're going to say it's hard to minor. Also, I think that feasibility or ease of completing these types of things on top of your degree program or things outside of that all relates to how passionate you are. So for example, if you've played jazz saxophone throughout your time in high school and you love it, and you definitely don't want to lose it, you won't lose it. As a matter of fact, you're going to have more opportunities to expand upon that here by being able to take music classes if you want to, if you just want to take individual instruction, if you want to enroll in a music minor, or if you want to actually just get involved in some of the jazz groups or the orchestras or the ensembles, or if you're really into marching band, which I don't think you are based on the question, but if you're interested in those types of things, that's great. You know, the grand majority of our students have some sort of musical interest. That's one of the things that relates to engineering, that math and music combination. And our engineering students pursue all sorts of things outside of that. So other questions like art. We had another great question about how does art fit in? Can I do art with engineering? Absolutely. And it doesn't have to necessarily be this thing that says that's what makes me an engineer because I've got this engineering plus this thing exactly. But if it's a passion, if it's something that can help you come up with better ideas, if you can think artistically, or if it's just keeping your mind going outside of the highly technical classes, I think that's a pro for anything. The ability for you to kind of break up your week, to break up your semesters, to take theater classes, to take music classes, to take cinema classes, does that directly relate to an engineering profession? Maybe, maybe not, but what it does do is it contributes to your life here as a student, helps you likely be a better student, helps you think a little bit more creatively, and ultimately, you're probably going to be a much better engineer down the road because you can think a little more creatively and approach that problem-solving standpoint with a different take. And so I think it's always great. I think it's very feasible. I think it's easy for those that find it as a passion, something that they want to do. And if that's what you're looking to do, I don't think there's any better place than USC because you have more opportunities here than any other engineering school to pursue other things you might be interested in. Did I miss anything on that, guys?
Got it.
Okay. Sean asked a good question about the honors program and what are the requirements to be considered. And so this is a loaded question, and I know there's a lot of time here, but we're running out of time, definitely. But can we talk about honors program, and then we have time for one more question? Can we talk about honors program in relation to what likely this Sean is asking about at other universities?
Yeah, I think the key thing is our honors program is not what most people would think of as a replacement program. You're not taking a different set of classes that are, you know, smaller or harder or taught by faculty. That's what we aim for with all of our classes. So the honors program is purely supplemental. And there are two primary ways of getting involved in that. One, we can invite you into it as an incoming first-year or transfer student, and that's just done in the application process, and it's just a certain percentage of our incoming or our offers of admission out there. Most students actually get involved in the honors program as continuing students, and for there, I believe, but I would defer to our honors program website, I believe the current GPA needed is 3.7, and Yeah, as a continuing student. So if you're not invited into the honors program as an incoming first semester, you just get a 3.7 GPA, and then you're in the honors program the second semester.
Cool.
I know we're short on time, so I'll stop there.
No, that's good. Yeah, just differentiating between how our, what most honors colleges at other schools is not what we have, and the size of our program is basically the size of honors colleges that other public institutions might be looking at. So don't worry about the ideas of honors program in the engineering school here. One question that I've been avoiding, but it's been asked over and over and over again in different ways, and I think this is a great way to end. I'm going to have everybody kind of jump in here. It's been asked in different ways. What sets Viterbi apart from other top engineering schools? What do you think is the coolest thing engineering students do? And why should I be considering engineering? Why should I be considering the Viterbi school for an engineering? Why should I be considering Viterbi for an engineering school, considering there's other great engineering schools out there?
I think. Go ahead, Becky. Please go ahead.
Well, I was just going to start. So any of the schools that you guys are looking at are probably top engineering programs, and you're going to get a good education. And so when I think when the students who actually attend USC, when they are making their decision, it's because of all the other things. We are a small program. Our incoming freshman class is only about 410 to 450 students spread across 10 disciplines, so it's a very small community at a large institution. So you get all the benefits of a large school with the research and the 750 student organizations and all the things you can get involved in, but it's also a very small community over here in Viterbi, with only 450 incoming students. I think the students who choose to come here, like I said, it's because of all the other things, because they don't want to give up their passion for music. They don't want to give up their passion for theater. They want to study abroad. They want to, be part of the marching band. They want to take classes in art and in business and across the board, and students are able to and encouraged to do that at USC. And so you'll never, hear say, oh no, you can't do that because you're an engineer. You can do whatever you want at USC. And so I think that's one of the things that sets us apart. We're a small community with all the resources of a large institution, and we let our students be who they are, and you're not confined to the engineering school.
And I was going to, I agree with everything that Becky said, so I'll make my answer a little bit shorter, but just to highlight that it is a very collaborative environment here as well. It is competitive to be admitted to USC, but once you're here, you work together as a community in student groups. If you have homework, you got a study group that you're working on the homework with other friends in the classes. And so I think it's just that sometimes I hear students say, one of the reasons I decided to come to USC is because it was collaborative. Students were actually working together. They weren't out to get each other. And that makes me feel really comfortable. And so our students are friendly and happy. We like that.
I would just add on, and I know we're short on time, this is a place that attracts students who are interested in affecting things and having an impact and doing things. And I think that combination is unique in the way that this community comes together and your peer group comes together. This is a group of people who are highly capable and interested in executing and making things happen. And particularly in engineering, that's a lot of what engineering is all about, but being able to leverage other resources at the university and get involved really facilitates that process. And so this very sort of entrepreneurial, very let's just make it happen culture, I think, is very deeply set here at the Viterbi School, and an important reason to come here.
So I think that all that is true. I'm trying to come up with a way to kind of tie it all together. One of the, and I was glancing through the questions again to see if there's anything else that we obviously missed a lot. There's no way to get at everything. But one of the ways, why is USC, the Viterbi School, why is it the best engineering school? And I think the answer is it's not. I don't believe that there is the best engineering school out there. I think there are a lot of great ones, and I think that if you're looking at USC for an engineering school, I think you're looking at all the good ones. I know that you're considering great schools like UCLA or like UC Berkeley or like Caltech or MIT or Johns Hopkins or Michigan or Georgia Tech or Carnegie Mellon or Cornell. I'm sure there's a number of others that you're thinking of. If you're from Texas, you're considering the UT Austin. It goes on and on and on. There are great schools out there, and it's not a coincidence that those all happen to be the top 10 engineering programs that are out there. There are great schools with engineers doing great things. If you're looking at engineering, I think that's all that matters, and I think that's going to be an important part. If you're looking for an engineering program where you want to do more than just engineering, I think that we have more opportunities than anyone else. You're going to get a strong technical program that is not watered down by any stretch of the imagination. This is a hardcore engineering program, and I can guarantee you one thing: we will kick your butts. It'll be hard. It'll be challenging. It'll be the most rigorous thing you could possibly have found, but you'll love it. And you'll love it because it's things that you like to do, and you'll be challenged in different ways that you'll respond positively to it, and you'll have a life outside of that. I think we're going to be one of the only engineering schools that will talk about how this is an engineering school that you will work incredibly hard, but we are going to have a social life as well. That full university experience, whether it's cheering on the football team on Saturdays, or sometimes Thursdays, or sometimes Fridays, now in the current state of college football. Or getting involved in service opportunities in and around campus, or even internationally, like Engineers Without Borders, or getting involved in taking other classes outside of engineering that you just have interest in. Matter of fact, we're going to make you take more classes, humanities and liberal arts, that you might not even want to. We're going to focus on that collaboration, as Christine talked about, and have you work in group projects, and have you be true engineers that know how to communicate effectively. That's going to be a core focus of our program. We want you to do cool things. The only way you do cool things is going through an incredibly hard program with a lot of interesting things on the side. And that's including study abroad programs and international experiences. We want you to have more here than probably anywhere else. And that's another great question that we kind of skipped over. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Our website here, viterbiadmission.usc.edu, has a lot. You can click up at the top there about applying and admission, and also about with our academic programs. You can see full course plans of all of our degree programs. The full 4-year plans are all laid out for you. PDF by PDF, you can see exactly what's involved there. You can see a lot of videos related to it. You can click over to Viterbi Voices, which is our student site that Matthew mentioned earlier about all of our students blogging, and they're making their own videos, and you can meet a lot of students there. They even have a program right now where there's a few different openings. You can go to lunch with them, and so we don't have a shadowing program necessarily, Michael, that just asked that question, but it is an opportunity to sit down and have lunch with some of our students. There's only a few openings left for the rest of the school year because our semester is ending. But we have other great ways. Some of you said, well, the interviews are all booked, which is true. Interviews have been booked for quite some time. How do I learn more about the school? Like Ryan asked that question. But interviews are not an opportunity to learn about the school. Interviews are an opportunity for us to learn about you, and that's done now. They don't need to worry about that. The grand majority of our admitted students never had interviews in the first place. However, there are great ways to learn more about the program and to sit down and experience this place. Number one, we offer a program called Meet USC. Meet USC is a program that's run on most Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays throughout the year. It's year-round. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We run one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and includes a session on the admission process, a campus tour, and then the third part is here with us in the engineering school. You sit down with one of us, Becky, Christine, Matthew, myself, and we'll go over in detail the engineering program and get to all of your questions. It's a great way to visit campus, and it runs practically, like I said, it is year-round. Of course, around holidays and some other things, it has some limited availability. But you can book that at our, if you click on the visit link up top on this page, you can book them at USC. A little bit more direct is our upcoming event, which is this Sunday. Discover USC is the big, large USC open house. It is campus-wide, but for the engineering school, we are going all out with our Viterbi Expo. The Viterbi Expo is going to have a ton of information. We have dozens of lab tours. We have open houses, and we have video game demos. We have a hacker's playground with our computer science students doing demos. We have seminars and lectures on cybersecurity and hacking. We have our entrepreneurial groups and innovation groups out doing ways to get involved in innovation entrepreneurship on campus, including social entrepreneurship. We have all of our student organizations, professional organizations. We have our design teams that will be out here. We have seminars on how to do those double majors and minors that we talked about with our academic advisors. We have our director of career connections and some of our alums coming in to talk about the internship opportunities and things that they've done along with their career exploration afterwards. We have our director of graduate admission talking about our graduate programs, including our progressive degree program, other master's options, and other things you may want to do, including all the way up to PhD inside of engineering. Viterbi Expo is going to be huge. It's this Sunday. The day university-wide starts at 9 a.m. It is an open house. You can come and go as you please. However, there are a lot of things going on, so I encourage you to check out the website. It's just the top website there. If you go to viterbiadmission.usc.edu/expo, EXPO, You can see all of that information. Plus, we will all be there. We're all going to be able to answer questions throughout the day. I will be leading large presentations on the Viterbi School twice that day, one at 10 a.m. and one at 1:30, and that's around our large expo program that's going on. There is so much more to talk about, so much more to learn. We in no way covered everything, but we covered a good portion of it, I have to say, because a lot of the questions were rather redundant. But what you can see is that if you have more, if you need more, come visit us. If you want to talk, give us a call. Sometimes your questions are a little bit more challenging to answer over email, so sometimes a phone call is a little bit easier. We can chat a little bit at length about it, and if you get to that, so Annalise, like you had a question, can you get back to us? Yeah, just call us. So if you have questions, you want to chat, we're here as much as we possibly can. We'd love to chat to you with you more about our program. We're going to help you better understand this place before you submit the application. And finally, last thing, and then we all got to get out of here, is the application deadline. Again, December 1st to be considered for merit-based scholarships, and you want to make sure you complete that, and you can click on the apply link right above on this website. So with that, is there anything else that we missed that we want to say goodbye to them with?
I would just put in a plug for your podcast.
Oh, the podcast! I forgot about the podcast.
Yep.
Paul started a podcast. You can link to it. It's linked to on the page here. And I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, the podcast right up there. You click on the podcast link. I think it's right there. Podcast. There's some great questions. You had a lot of questions about computer science, and way too detailed to get into here. But the podcast episode with our director of computers, or our director of our computer science department, Gaurav Sukhatme, we had a great conversation about computer science and what that means here. Another one just went up yesterday on hacking and cybersecurity. We're going to put up another one in a couple days on sustainability and the water crisis. And these are all great conversations about what we do here. So if you go to your podcast app on your phone and search for Viterbi, you'll find it. We are the #1 podcast on iTunes when you search for the word Viterbi. So it's a very popular podcast. Or just on this page, you can listen to it here however you want. So that was just great. Thank you guys so much. We look forward to seeing you at the expo on Sunday. It's going to be awesome. And other than that, we look forward to reviewing your applications and making some decisions. So thank you very much, everybody. Fight on.
Thank you.
Bye.